Welcome to In the Know, your guide to mortgage note investing, real estate strategies, and building passive income. Hosted by me, yours truly, Larry Hoffman. Let's get you in the know. Hey there, future investors, and welcome to the very first episode of In the Know, the podcast that turns big, scary financial concepts into something you can actually understand and use to build real wealth. I'm Larry Hoffman with LJH Investments, your solo captain on this adventure toward financial confidence, and I couldn't be more excited to kick things off with you today. This podcast is about taking the complex, intimidating world of investing and breaking it down into bite-sized pieces so anyone, yes, even you, can start making smarter money moves. So for today's episode, we're diving into a little-known but seriously powerful investment strategy, investing in performing mortgage notes. Now, I know what you're thinking, like, Larry, that sounds complicated, and I don't even know what a note is. Don't worry, you're in the right place. Here's the big idea. You're not buying houses, you're buying the loans on houses. Why? Because while banks may not exactly invite you to their holiday party, they figured out a system for creating steady, reliable income. And here's the good news. You can tap into that same system. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly what a performing note is, why it matters, and how you can start putting this strategy to work for you. Here's what's on today's agenda. What on earth is a performing note, and why should you care? How to find these magical cash-flowing gems and avoid landmines. How to analyze notes to make sure you're getting a good deal. This is episode 1, and I'm thrilled to have you here. Let's get you in the know. All right, let's get into the weeds. But don't worry, these are the good kind of weeds. No thorns, just treasure. So, what on earth is a performing note? Picture this. Someone buys a house, they take out a mortgage, and they start paying that mortgage back every month like clockwork. A performing note is essentially that loan, the one that's performing, because the borrower is doing what they're supposed to do. They're paying on time. No fuss, no drama. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You, my friend, can buy that note. You become the lender. You're not dealing with busted pipes, broken toilets, or tenants who suddenly forget what rent due means. Nope, you're just collecting payments, interest, and principal every month. It's like becoming the bank, except instead of you sending money to a bank, they're sending money to you. Cue the happy dance. Let me hit you with a simple analogy. Imagine you've got a golden goose, not the kind from fairy tales, but close. That goose lays eggs in the form of monthly payments. And instead of feeding it like you do with a rental property, you just sit back, let it do its thing, and collect those sweet golden eggs. That's a performing note, a consistent, predictable stream of income. But why should you care? Here's the deal. Performing notes are an incredible opportunity because they offer something we all crave, passive income with lower risk. Unlike gambling on the stock market or dealing with market crashes, you know what you're getting with these. Predictable payments, often at solid interest rates, secured by a real asset, the property itself. Worst case scenario, if the borrower stops paying, you still hold the note and you can foreclose to get the property. Not fun, but you've got options. And let's be honest, who doesn't love the idea of being the one cashing checks instead of writing them? Banks do it all the time. They've got vaults full of your money, paying you 0.5% interest while they lend it out for 5 to 7%. Investing in performing notes lets you flip that dynamic. You get to be the one earning interest instead of handing it out. So to sum it up, a performing note is a mortgage loan that's on track. Borrower paying on time, everyone's happy. You buy the note, collect the payments, and let it become your income-generating golden goose. It's a reliable, passive way to grow wealth without fixing toilets or flipping houses. Now that we know what performing notes are, the next question is, where the heck do you find them? And how do you know if you're getting a good deal? Don't worry, I've got you covered. Stick with me as we roll into segment 2, where I'll share the how-to of finding and evaluating these gems. All right, so now that you know what a performing note is, let's get to the fun part, finding these gems. Because let's be real, it's one thing to know about a golden goose, but it's another to figure out where they're hanging out and how to tell if one's actually laying those eggs or just, sitting there looking pretty. Where to find performing notes? So, where do you find these mystical money makers? Good news, they're out there and they're not hidden in a vault guarded by dragons. Here's where to start: banks and credit unions. Believe it or not, banks sometimes sell off their loans. Why? They want cash to lend elsewhere, or they need to clear their books. You can approach smaller local banks or credit unions. They're often more flexible and open to negotiation. Just ask for their loan sale officer. Yeah, that's a real job. Note exchanges and online marketplaces. There are entire platforms where performing notes are bought and sold, like PaperStack or NoteTrader. Think of it like eBay for mortgage notes. You browse listings, look at the loan details, and bid on the ones that fit your goals. And yes, just like shopping for sneakers, you can absolutely get a deal. Private sellers and note brokers. Sometimes investors who already own notes want to sell them to free up cash for other opportunities. You can connect with brokers or networks like Bigger Pockets to find these folks. Pro tip: networking is everything. Get in those forums, shake some digital hands, and let people know you're looking. How to evaluate a performing note. Now, finding a note is only half the battle. You don't want to buy a lemon. Here's how you separate the golden geese from the duds: borrower payment history. First things first, is the borrower paying on time? A performing note means consistent payments, so get the payment history. If you see a perfect streak for the last 12 months, you're in good shape. If it's a little spotty, proceed with caution. Loan to value ratio, LTV, this is a huge one. The LTV tells you how much the borrower owes compared to the property's value. For example, if the loan is $60,000 on a house worth $100,000, that's a 60% LTV. Lower is better because it means there's more equity in the property. So if things go sideways, you're still covered. Property value and condition. Remember, the note is backed by a house, so you want to know, what's the house worth and what condition is it in? Use tools like Zillow or Realtor.com to get an estimate, or even hire an appraiser if it's a big investment. A $50,000 note on a house worth $200,000? Chef's kiss. A $50,000 note on a house held together by duct tape? Yep, hard pass. Terms of the note. Look at the interest rate, loan term, and remaining balance. A higher interest rate means more cash flow for you, while shorter terms mean the loan will be paid off faster. Balance that based on your goals. Do you want a steady trickle of income for years or a quicker payout? Avoiding those landmines. Here's the thing: not all notes are winners, and there are a few traps to avoid: non performing notes masquerading as performing. Some sellers try to offload loans that used to be in trouble. Always verify payment history. Overpaying for a note. Just because the borrower is paying doesn't mean it's worth any price. Stick to your numbers, check the LTV, and don't get emotional. This isn't eBay bidding on a vintage guitar. Legal paperwork. Make sure the note and mortgage are properly documented. Hire a note attorney if needed. Trust me, skipping this step can turn into a bad soap opera. So there you go: where to find performing notes, how to analyze them, and how to avoid stepping on a financial landmine. All right, my friends, that's a wrap on today's episode of In the Know. We've covered what performing notes are, how to find them, how to evaluate them. Here's the big takeaway: you don't need to reinvent the wheel to build wealth. Performing notes are one of those rare opportunities where you can benefit from a system that already works, the lending game, without being a mega bank or a Wall Street wizard. All you need is a little education, some discipline, and the courage to start. If you're sitting there thinking, ah, man, this sounds doable, that's because it is. Start small, reinvest, and watch those cash flows grow. Remember, retirement isn't about hitting some magic age. It's about having the freedom to live life on your terms. And if you keep stacking performing notes, that freedom gets closer with every payment that lands in your bank account. Now, before you go, do me a favor: share this episode with one friend who needs to hear it. Someone who's stuck in the 9 to 5 grind, dreaming about breaking free, but doesn't know where to start. This episode could be the spark they need. And if you enjoyed today's show, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It helps more people get in the know and join us on this journey. I'm Larry, reminding you that financial freedom isn't just a dream, it's a plan. And you, my friend, are in the know. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep chasing that freedom.